Good evening, Facebook family. How are you guys? I know it's been a while. But anyway, yeah, here's parts of my office that probably a lot of people don't get to see. I'm rearranging my office. So, anyway, um, wanted to share something. Last night, I kind of winded down a little bit and I watched parts of My Fair Lady. And I like to go back to that movie because it has some really interesting hat designs. And I just really love that movie. But if you really go into it, it's like an old movie that is actually in the 1960s. I think Audrey Hepburn was in it. Anyway, these two guys, they make a bet and they were like, we could take this flower lady that's selling flowers and we can make her to make people believe that she is one of the basically the aristocrats in high society, that they could mold her and actually change her mannerisms down and to fit the standards of highly cultured people. And so they did just that, and they did, a great job. But they could only let her do it for a little bit because her old ways would come out and her old mannerisms of when she was selling flowers on the streets and basically homeless. And so they had to be careful because on the surface she looked and acted like, she belonged in the high society rim. And then when she would talk a little bit more, or maybe people would investigate her more, little things would come out like, for example, they went to a horse race and she said a few things that were out of the ordinary that made them question her authenticity. So anyway, it's a little refreshing and it's neat and it's charming and it's all those witty things that a lot of people might like. But so what made her change? Okay. For one, someone did care. And maybe they didn't care the way she thought or like a normal person might care, but she was actually a part of a bet. But she was under mentorship. The power of mentorship. She was under mentorship, and they knew exactly what she needed to do this transformation. So that's what I see a lot out here. And so he had to work on some of her mannerisms and her speech. She didn't say her H's right. And she had to learn history and become very cultured with books, and where she could actually have somewhat of a stimulating conversation about many different, things. So they had to educate her. And so they knew the right events to attend. So they put her in these interesting events, meeting royalty at a certain event. And that's where they knew the guy won, because no one thought she was a fraud. Everyone thought she was the real deal. even the queen. And the queen was like, oh, dance with my grandson. And she looked so elegant and so beautiful. And even the queen said, you are so charming, young lady. So they kind of fooled some people, but in the end, they fixed it because they knew that she was smart enough and she was no longer the person that she was, okay? They knew that would happen. That's how smart they were. They knew that would happen. And so when they she took it as she no longer had, when the bet was over, she realized she might no longer have a place to stay. Well, the guys kind of grew accustomed to her there, and she thought she had to leave, so she kind of developed a plan to leave. And she was nervous because, she was used to now a certain kind of lifestyle. And then she was no longer under mentorship, and she had to see where her smarts, and she had to use them in real life. So she thought she had to go back to where she was selling flowers. And she did go back there. And you know what? Nobody recognized her. Where she came from out on the streets. When she went back there, she was dressed in, well-to-do clothes, really gorgeous clothes. And no one there recognized her. She was a totally different person. And they said, ma'am, a woman like you should not be on this side of town at this time of hour. And then she was like, and then the guy goes, you kind of look familiar, but... And so she felt like she didn't belong really anywhere. I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story because it's that good. But I kind of watched it again to see they had some interesting hats in the movie, and I like to go back and look at some of those ideas, but it really had some really powerful storylines to it because, it shows you with proper education, the right mentor, and the right events to go to, that you can really change your life. You really can change your life like that. That was my message for today. And for all the Audrey Hepburn fans, that's for you. Bye-bye.